The Bible.
This is the Bible.
You question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
Hello, everybody. Oh, Claire with Clairvoyant Psychic Medium here today. And this is Grace Chronicles. I believe we are on 5 right now because I did not do the one that I said I was going to do. So, yay for Grace Chronicles 5. And we have an amazing guest. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Antoinette Picard. My nickname is Pooie.
Pooie!
And I am one of Claire's roommates. I think you are my first ever roommate.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
So
Oh my
who
God.
I
We
am.
should. Oh no, we should start telling with your story, like how you did get to Grace. Because the fact that I ended up as her roommate, that's a story all in itself. But I want to hear, like, how did Pooie get to Grace?
Okay. And I will not say what ministry I worked or was with, but I was involved with the ministry, and that started when I was about 15 years old. And so it was 2003, and I had just graduated high school. I was accepted to the University of Idaho, and I was at a Native American Christian camp. And it seems like early on in the summer, they start talking to me about a college, but I was already accepted to University of Idaho. Everything was ready to go. I had no intentions of leaving. You know, I knew what I was doing. And so I went and did my missions trip, my evangelical trip, and for that month. And during that month, I changed my scope and didn't go to University of Idaho, and ended up, it seemed like it was a last minute choice, ended up jumping on a bus and heading to Omaha, Nebraska, 18 years old.
But how did you hear about Grace? Like, where did that come from? And was your application like acceptance? Was it really fast too?
Yes, it was extremely fast because,
Same.
like I said, I was already accepted at U of I, which that was a huge, long process.
Yeah.
Getting my FAFSA application, like student enrollment, all that stuff done, being accepted. My room, like everything was ready to go for U of I.
Wow.
I bet you I did that application probably right before school started at Grace, the end of the summer. I got in trouble during that missions trip that summer for smoking weed. And so I was already, you know, like, oh no, you're a bad person, you know, you sinned a lot. You need to do better. There's a better life out there for you. And so me and one of my brothers, my adopted brothers from that on Eagle's Wings trip, we both ended up there. There was a recruiter afterwards. He was my connection. He was a friend of my dad's from Craigmont, Idaho, which is up on our reservation. It's a little tiny town. That's where my dad grew up. And that's how I ended up meeting the man who worked at Grace University. So he was my connection, but I don't ever remember him at Grace. Like I don't ever remember. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him again. I don't remember knowing him, like seeing him again there one time, but he was my connection. And like I said, I was comfortable because he had known my dad. He knew my family. He grew up with all of them, but I don't remember him past that point at Grace University.
Wow. And you came to Grace with like 2 other people, right? Or was it you came by yourself at first?
Yeah, just 1 year, one by myself the first year.
Oh, okay. I guess my brain always thought that, or was it like second semester that they came or something?
The next year, my sophomore year, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you remember Welcome Week? Because apparently that was a traumatic week for everybody.
Oh, it was horrible. And no, I don't. I heard everybody sing, so I start racking my brain. But the one person I knew, he was from South Dakota, and his grandma had passed late in August. And I almost wonder if I had to miss out on Welcome Week because they did let me leave and go to her funeral. Like I do remember
I want
that.
to just notice that you just said that. They let me leave to go to her funeral. Okay.
I'm horrible with control now. Like you cannot tell me what to do anymore in my life. Nobody.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember you well, I don't remember anything about Welcome Week except for like my perception, but Yeah. And honestly, really feel like I don't remember you much until we did become roommates. Yeah. And okay, so your memory is much better than mine, maybe. But when did we become roommates? Was it the first semester
It seems like it was maybe right at the end, the
of the
first
first
semester. I
semester?
don't remember. Yeah,
Okay.
I really don't
Um,
remember.
so you tell the story because you kind of said something earlier when we were talking that I was like, what? So what was your perception of that?
Okay, my perception of that was I went to Grace and they gave me my own room. I was the only one in there. So I had my own space and obviously I remember loving it. And I don't remember how me and you met. I don't remember when we became friends. I don't know if we had a class together or what.
I have no idea.
But I remember you telling me that you had nowhere to go and that you were kicked out of your roommate's room, like your room. And me, I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a room? Like, you don't have a room? And you said, no, I don't have a room. And I'm like, well, I have an extra room. I have a bed. I'm like, go ahead and come into my room. We can be roommates. And like, all of a sudden you were there, you know?
Wow.
I don't
So that's
remember
so
if we got
interesting
permission or anything. Like, I just remember saying, I have extra room.
because from your perception, they were going to kick me out because I had to get a different roommate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember if I've said this on a podcast or whatever, but the main reason that I did have to get out of my first roommate's room is because she threw a toaster at my head. When we had talked about, we did the roommate thing, because I had already at this point, at 18 years old, had 3 roommates, like roommates, not living with my parents. Like I was already on my own. So I was like, okay, like I see we have Pop Tarts, we have a toaster. When the Pop Tarts run out, if you take the last one, you buy the next thing. Like that's normal roommate shit. So that's what like had happened or something, and I was going to go buy them, and she got so mad and threw the toaster at my head. And I went to like the dean or something, and I was like, my safety is not okay right now. And they blamed me. And they were like, if you would like to get out of this room, you got to figure it out on your own or you're gone. It sounds like, and I said the same thing to you, or it was like I'm walking up and down the halls, like, because I was on Stanford 5, and what were you on 4, or what were you
Yeah,
on?
it seems like I was on 4.
Or maybe I was on 4 and you were on 5. That seems more right. Is that right? I don't
I think you're right. I don't know.
know. Yeah. But yeah, so we ended up being roommates. And at this point, let me just like preface. I grew up with my brother person my whole life, from 5 years old till forever. Well, until 2020 of this last year or whatever. Um with a Native American person in my life. So Pooie to me was family. And I was so comfortable with you. And that was such a cool feeling to me. Um and then being able to like, I guess now knowing that you like invited me in, oh, my little Claire heart is just like, thank you. Like, um, but Pooh was doing some stuff in there and I had no idea. But first of all, I do want to ask a question. You did mention smoking weed, that you did get in trouble for it before. So I just want to like clear the air kind of thing. What do you feel about weed now?
It's legal, finally. I am not for pharmaceuticals by any means. Like, am I for pharmaceuticals in anything? For anything? Um, I saw what the pain pills, I've seen the destruction of pain pills. I've had a loved one who struggled with mental health, um, and I was I was young then, but just one of the things she shared when she was going through her hard time with those pharmaceuticals for her mental health, she goes, I felt so sad, so depressed, and she, as her whole family was falling apart. But she goes, once they gave me those pills, the suicidal thoughts start coming. And so I was just young. you know what I mean? But I'm very not pharmaceutical person.
Yeah.
I do believe there is that weed, heals, that it
Mhm.
helps with depression, that it helps with your body aches, that it keeps people away from pharmaceuticals. CBD, I am very into also. I said keep calm. Yeah, my husband right now, he has a blood vessel that is stressing him out across his brain, but it's from old brain trauma. And so, as stress and anxiety has continued to take his life over and over, that brain vessel starts swelling. And so that stress will literally sit there and shake his face. And
Whoa.
like the only thing that will kind of even calm it, if even just for 30 minutes, is CBD. And I can't think of the name of it, but it's gonna be a
Yeah.
prolonged thing, So I'm very for it. I'm thankful
Yeah.
it's legalized.
Yeah.
Um,
What was your
yes.
perception of weed going to Grace? Like, did you grow up learning that it was medicine?
No,
Okay. Okay.
it
I've
was
always wondered
always
that.
bad. Yeah, it was bad
Okay.
from everybody. It was the devil, it was sin, it was a drug. Yeah, it was all that. It was never okay with anybody
Yeah.
in my life. Like I said, I had gotten in trouble that summer before. I gotten in trouble at Grace for it. And that was as far as my troubles have gone, is just in those two Christian worlds. I've never been in trouble in the law. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Same. I guess I failed a couple drug tests, but you know,
Yeah.
like I tried to get jobs at places and then I was like, oh, whoops, yeah, I smoke weed, sorry. Like,
Right.
no, but I love this because this was going to Grace. I basically did not know anything about weed, like nothing. And you being my roommate, I did not know that you were high. I just thought you were funny all the time and like you would get really tired at night and it was like I would just have such a fun time. I was so naive. Um and then like after learning and after like actually like fully understanding the medicinal point to it for me personally, I was like, "Oh, wow." And I've always thought that, like, maybe you kinda came into Grace knowing that this was, like, medicine, and then I always wondered that. But anyways, I would like you to tell your, like, story, but first of all, how long did you go to Grace?
I went to Grace, it seems like for about a year and a half, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was the same as me. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So talk about your perception of like, I don't know, your first year, yeah, what stories, whatever, what's coming up.
Well, I enjoyed listening to everybody because I seem like I forgot so much. And so I remember I got in trouble early on, like my first year there. I was in trouble early on. I don't remember repercussions. I don't remember if I had the curfew. I don't remember um
You had the curfew. Everyone had the curfew.
everybody had the curfew. Okay. The curfew and then the chapel. But I remember at one point that I did have to go do, and I don't know if we all had to go do kind of community service
Yeah,
like. And I
like
remember
cleaning.
that was the only time I was kind of uncomfortable in the church I was in, or if it was just within the community. I didn't remember. But
Yeah.
I do remember connecting with a lot of our African American students. Our like those were my friends, those were my homies. That's who I hung out with. And
Yeah.
so Wednesday, Sunday, I remember getting to go to the black churches. There
Oh,
was a pastor out in Omaha at that time. He was a Sioux man and he had a wife and three kids, and they were all native too. I don't remember the name of the church, but that church was rocking. Like he would preach and we would have such a blast. The music be going. It was good. And that's what I remember when I look back and I was like, man, I don't ever remember having to be like at a boring church, which mind you, I'm from an old school stand up, sit down, quiet church. That's where I originate from. And so I remember being in Omaha, getting to go to these places that seemed so much more alive, than a church I've ever been in. And then seeing this, and it was a huge church, the one that Pastor Dobie
Okay.
preached at. It
I
was a
wondered.
gigantic church. Yeah. And like I said, but he was a native man there. So even though I felt so disconnected from my native community, it was like, cool, there's still this native family preaching here.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to be so strict, with Bible studies or Sunday schools or Wednesday fellowship. And if it was,
Huh.
who knows, I might have liked it just because of the people I was with, is what I was
Yeah.
wondering.
Huh.
Um,
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question, because I'm just gonna be real with you. It came up when you said, like, I don't remember the repercussions, because when you said that, it triggered a memory in my head of me and you being in our room, and I was telling you how I was getting in trouble. And you were just like, this is crazy, whatever. And like, I kind of have the memory of you never getting in trouble. And I
yeah,
was like, what the fuck? So,
agreed.
okay, so I need to ask this. Tell me how and what was your perception, whatever, of like your funding to Grace?
It was all paid for, and I have no idea on the funding. Even when you shared about the transcripts not getting transferred,
Yeah.
like I've completed my education since then, but I was like, I don't remember any of those hurdles. Like I could swear I just got my transcript like nothing. I don't even
Oh
think I
man.
failed any classes. So I know continuing my, college education, it wasn't hard to reach out. So I don't remember that.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Wow. Yeah, no, I definitely have a memory of
Oh,
me
and I
being.
was left with no balance either, Claire. Yeah, absolutely zero balance. And so
Did
I
you
don't I
get
don't
like
know.
free housing, free food, free all of that? Okay.
I do
Yeah.
remember money had to clear. So I don't know if I was on grant or FAFSA. I don't know. Because I do remember my second year there, my little sister was with me, and our money hadn't cleared, and we didn't have money, and we were hungry. So I do remember that my second year. That So I, like
Oh,
I
you
said,
had
so
to
I don't
wait for the
remember if it
loans
was.
to come in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
that's fun. Um, okay. So that's so crazy to me because it was 100% different.
Yes.
Um, and I remember even having that thought of, because you never went to eat. You never went up to well, I mean, I know you did, but like I remember really feeling like I gotta rush to get to the fucking lunch because I don't have any time, and you were all like, whatever. And I was like, this is paid for, I have to use it. Like, oh wow. Okay. Did I do the mannequin head thing in your room or in our room?
I
Or was
think
that
you had one. Yeah.
okay, no, but remember how people used to put things in the elevator, and usually it started out really with like all of the like trees around, like the fake
Yeah.
trees and whatever, but then people started putting things of their own in there. And Susan, I don't know if you remember her, but her name just popped into my head. And she put a mannequin head in there because she must have went to like cosmetology school or somebody did or whatever. And I fully, like, dyed its hair, put
Yeah.
piercings, did all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and I got so fucking in trouble. Do you remember that?
I think I have pictures. When you
Oh,
say this, I'm like, I need to look through my pictures. I swear I have.
yeah! I don't have
Yes.
pictures of that.
I
Um,
know I even have one. I think I have one of us all in the elevator and it was full of the trees and things.
oh my god, I would love to see
Yeah.
those pictures. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that and I don't know if it was you, well, okay, now, like, really looking at your birth chart, yes, it was you. Felt freer with you. I felt like I could be myself inside of this fucked up place. And so I was myself, and oh my god, I got in so much fucking trouble. But yeah, that mannequin thing was the start of so many like really, really crazy bad things. But um it's funny now, and I think I'll talk about this when I do my own podcast for this week. that one of my most favoriteest creative expressions is to decorate mannequin heads now. So and it's
Just gonna
so
have them there
funny.
for no reason too.
Yeah. But it's funny because I remember one of the points was like, it was so expensive. It was so these were thrown away. These were thrown away. All of these that I got were free. Fuck off. Grace for so many weird things that they, you know. But
Yes.
okay. So that's funny. I definitely try to go through your pictures because holy shit, I would love to see those. Okay. Any other stories or anything that is like coming into your mind or whatever?
Um, I don't think so. But what I thought was really crazy was when I did get kicked out, was how I told you originally I was at a Christian ministry, but when I even heard about Grace, is that that was the same Christian leadership I was with when I got kicked out. And I got kicked out the next day. So I was with them all the night before. And so a lot of my experience seems like there was probably that underlying of my other ministry that I was a part of involved in with me getting kicked out of there.
Oh,
And I think kind of just how you said, you felt comfortable with me. And I think for me, I don't feel that hurt from Grace or remember things because it was just a glitch of my
fun.
past.
Yeah.
But these other people I knew, like I knew you, I knew you enough that if you wanted to call out my behavior, you could have talked to me. You could have talked to me. You had me there with you the day before and you didn't talk to me. You went over my head and then spoke to these people and then they dealt with me. So I always felt more hurt by the people I knew, that they didn't sit me down. And I remember
Wait a
you
minute.
sitting
Pause,
me
pause,
down at
pause,
one
pause.
point,
I was
like,
like,
are you
are
okay?
you are you telling me that I went over your head at some time? I just want to make sure.
No, no, not
Oh,
you.
okay.
No, my
All right.
the previous, well, the ministry that I had worked with
Okay,
before
that's
that.
what, yes, yes,
And I
yes.
worked with them following it. And
Okay.
so that was what I was meaning. Like you guys could have came and
Didn't
called me out at
directly.
any
Yeah.
point. Yep, and talked to me.
Okay, so you were saying
And
you
that's what I'm
remember
saying is
me
I remember
talking to
you doing
you.
that to me one night, just laying there. I was laying there and you're like, are you okay? Like, are you for real? Are you okay?
Huh.
Like, are you good? I always just remember you doing that.
Because I think that there was a death that happened. Wasn't there a death that happened in your life around there?
There's always deaths in my
But
life.
it
I
was a
don't
young person.
specifically remember.
It was a
Yeah.
young person. Yeah.
Yeah. I had just lost my little brother in 2000 before I moved over there.
Yeah.
And
And
then
so
I know at that time I was really struggling.
I just
Yes.
remember like I guess like talking to you about it, carrying it with you, like, whoa. Was there another boy that came to Grace?
That his name, yeah, I had one, Sue. Like I said, I had a brother who, adopted brother from South Dakota. He played basketball. And I was going to say that could be the other reason that I don't
Yeah.
remember got a lot of
Mhm.
repercussions. He was on the basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That was a big deal.
and I
I
don't
knew
remember if he
nobody on
even
the basketball
finished
team.
that full season. I don't even think he finished that full season,
The
but he
first year
came
or
with
the second year?
the first year.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I do remember that. Okay. And that was a big deal for you when he left because it was almost like when he left, I came.
Yep.
Mhm. Okay. So that was a big deal for you. That was your only person. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
And then I do remember talking to you about the death a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And that was just something like could you imagine like just looking at this is some like weird stoner thought probably, but like if you were to take off the like wall at Grace when we were in Stanford and just look at it, we're all on shelves. Like we were just little things in the shelves. So I thought about that so many times. And every single person in there was so boring, so bleh, like just all of that. And then our room, like me and you, or who, like whatever. There was a couple other people, obviously, but like the conversations that we were having, the experiences that we were having was so different compared to so many other people.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. And
Totally agree.
oh, another thing that I want you to say, because you said something, every single person says this. What is the number one thing that you remember about living with me?
It was cold. It was so cold. I still have my quilt because I had this huge, gigantic quilt and I love sleeping with that. And then so I remember you'd make it freezing cold, but I'd have my quilt, my blankets, I'd be nice and warm under it, but it was so, so cold. It'd be like winter and you'd crack the window. I'm like, no, it's so cold.
So we were so like I remember even like not I don't know if you let me do this, but some roommates did, where I would be like, we're on the like fourth or fifth floor. All these people's heats are in our room. We don't even need our heater on. We need the window open. It is in here. Like I just remember being like,
I can't breathe.
yeah. Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, every single roommate I ever had, they were like, it was freezing wherever I was. Okay, I found notes that you wrote to me.
So good, all cute.
I am so excited to read these. Okay, because I don't think I brought this up, but this was going to be something that I brought up in this next one. Because I found a ton of these. Do you remember these things?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were required, I think required to like do a certain amount. I don't know if it was like weekly or monthly or whatever. And I don't think they really kept track of it, but it was like a guilt feeling, you know? And not meaning like these mean nothing. I found a couple from Pooie and I need to just like read them. Um Okay, so this one says, "Thanks for listening to me blab. You are a cool girl, and I find it crazy that we could appear as opposites, but have a lot in common. I hope your life is going great, but if it never is, I'll listen to you. And thanks again. Much love, Pooey."
So
I,
sweet.
yeah. And the thing that I guess I want to bring up with that is just I'm going to talk about your birth chart for 1 second because um I never realized this until I looked it up today. So you have a Scorpio moon. You're an Aquarius, so we were weird together. That was our Aquariusness. Um, but you have a Scorpio moon, which is just the deepest of the deepest moons. Like you're able to like, okay, you got to talk about some really heavy shit. I'm ready. You got to talk about some stupid shit. Okay, I'm ready. Like you're ready to take on whatever. And that was the inviting feeling for me. My dad was a Scorpio moon and is a Scorpio moon. So that was a very comforting feeling to me. And then you're I believe, Pisces rising. So that would be you come off to the world as so Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. And it would be spiritual, could be a little crazy at times if needed, could be very nurturing. It's a you don't know what you get kind of a feel. Um, so I don't know. I guess that, and I have Pisces in my chart, and then your main Mars and Venus. So like how you related to others relationship wise, and then your motivation was in Aries, and I have an Aries moon. So basically what I'm saying is we have a lot of very similar placements. So that's why it was so easy. And I remember like us amping each other up. Like I do have a memory of like, come on, Pooey, get up, you gotta go to class. And you would be like, no. Like you would do the same for me. Like we full on were just like, I can't, you know. So I found that to be really cool. Let me see here. And because we were born the same year, we also had a lot, like all of the outer planets are the same, and like our south node, which is in Scorpio, means we came from our past, which we had just literally walked out of at that time, coming into Grace, was so much pain and so much hurt. And you having that moon, it was just like, wide open. So, yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm done with that. I want to read this. That's not from you. Oh, okay, this one. This one I have to do. All right. Oh, I love this one so much. Okay. Claire, happy birthday. By now, it is probably not your birthday anymore. I hope your day was great and everything you wish it had been. Your roommate is poor, but I hope you know that I care about you. And I am very thankful that God gave us a chance at friendship. Then put it on both of our hearts to be roommates. Don't we have an awesome God? your I want you to know your sis is always watching over you. And if you ever want to talk about it, I have lost a brother before. I've always tried to be there for you. I will always try to be there for you when I can. And don't worry about me. One day my problems won't shut me down so much. Hmm. All right. I love you and I hope you had an awesome birthday. Love you always, Pooey. Isn't it kind of weird? Like, I just found it very cringy and embarrassing that you knew about my twin. Like, I'm like, what was I doing? Just sitting there fucking whining about my goddamn problems, you know? Like, there was another one that I was reading through where I was like, whoa, I had the knowledge to say, oh, it was an emotional hangover. I had the knowledge to say that at 18 years old, you know? But yeah,
It was
so what were you saying?
it was crazy because we were supposed to talk last week and they told you I had a funeral to go to for a baby. Um,
Oh, whoa. Okay.
yeah. Um, and I didn't want to tell you then, but the baby was a twin.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And it was a rough funeral, you know. It was so rough. And thankfully I got to see the mom and dad down here because I'm at the state basketball tournament and I got to see that little baby yesterday, you know, with he was being held by his aunt. He's 3 months old. And I could see my husband looking at me when they came by, you know, because it made his heart feel good that they're out and about. But when I just seen that baby, you know, it just it broke my heart. It broke my heart a lot. And I couldn't say nothing, you know, I couldn't look at Matt as he's staring at me and as the baby's walking by. I just glanced, you know, and I just kind of gave a smile and then I kept watching the game. But after we left that game, I told Matt, I said, it was so good to see those parents, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, it was. It's like, it's amazing to me at that young of age, you can tell that that baby is left, you know,
Oh,
and you
uh,
could, you could just see it, you know, and I've seen these babies. It was crazy because the mom, her little brother plays with my son basketball. And so probably a month ago, their game's over and I'm walking and she's sitting there with her man and they have 4 kids total together.
whoa.
And it was like the most beautiful scene ever. Like they just looked beautiful. Like they were just sitting there radiating beauty. And I walk by
Mm.
and I'm like, I'm gonna stop. You know, so I stop and I'm like, you guys have the most beautiful family. I said, I love you guys. Your children are so beautiful. They're so, and here that baby ended up dying. And so like I said, I just seen that reality
Mm.
right in front of my face last night. And so just even as you share this, you know, and it's just that reality.
That
And
makes sense why we had
it
to wait and why we had to, wow.
and that connection's there regardless, you know.
Oh
And
my
like I
God.
said, that baby at that little a baby, that baby, you can tell he misses somebody already. That baby don't know what's going on. You
No.
know, he's a baby, but he totally knows, you know, and you could see it on his face yesterday. And so I just thought that was crazy, you know, as me and you prepared to talk and um just even as you said, you
Wow.
know, like even that I shared those stories with you and at that time that we did feel connected because we lost
Yeah.
a brother. And totally not something to I know you've maneuvered through your grief, you know, in the
Yeah.
hugest way, but like I said, just seeing all that play out in this past week or two, like it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So
It's
huge.
so, I guess I want to say healing in a way that I never got, you know? And I think that that's one thing I'm really realizing. I was listening to some astrologer thing or whatever this morning that was talking about Taurus energy because that's you have a Taurus north node, so you will whatever with this. Um we have been like really harsh. Well, I could just say fixed signs in general, really harshly having to deal with our reality and like so many things for the past literally 20 years. And so now we're stepping into this like, oh my God, I can like look back and see things now. And like when you were just talking right there, I was smiling. I recognized when you first started talking about the twin. I remember thinking back when I was 18 with you, if someone brought up twins, instant I would start crying. And that was my indication that like, oh, you're not over this, Claire. Oh, you got to figure this out. But no one fucking told me these things. This was just
Yeah.
my messiness pooping out, and that's so fucking crazy. Pooey, I think that you really see energy and I don't think you recognize that. Do you think that like the fact that you like saw this like beautifulness, like you saw the touch of whatever, heaven, God,
I've been
whatever.
trying to track it better now
Uh-huh.
because I've been trying to notice it. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, if I could just work on my own healing, if I
Yep.
could continue to work on me, um, I know that we all have those gifts,
Oh
and
yeah.
even um just a lot of the people I've connected with. And I know we talked a little one-on-one just about me being native. And that's something through Christianity that I was told was a sin, that I was told was wrong,
The being
Yeah,
native?
yes. And so and this is what I was talking about, my previous
Huh.
Christian work, how that ruined me more than grace could ever ruin me. And but
Okay.
for a
Do you
lot of
want to
years,
talk about that?
was a
Because I
sin.
want you to, yeah, tell me what that means. Like, why?
Well, that Christian thing I was at that same summer that I learned about grace, I went there for about 15 years maybe of my youth existence. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so I remember the year previous to grace, so 2002, was one of the first times me, my cousins, my sisters, my friends, we were at this Christian camp. And so my brothers could sing powwow songs. So we're like, okay, you guys sing the song and we're going to dance for the talent show. Okay. Like we didn't have all our regalia or everything, but we're like, let's do this. So we're like, all right. And so my brothers and my cousins, they take the microphone and they start singing a powwow song. And so the rest of us dance a circle around them. It's just for fun. It
Mhm.
was a little goofy little powwow for us. And that's that. So we're done. I'm 16, I think, at this time. My little sister was 15. So following that dance, the leader who preaches from the podium, I don't know how, he ends up taking me and her aside and said that we opened up the tunnel of darkness and that we are going to cause a lot of people to struggle and that we really opened a door for the enemy. And we're both sitting there confused. Like I said, I'm 15, 16 years old, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what? We sang a powwow song and danced. And mind you, like I said, I'm not even in regalia. I was in my
Yeah.
street clothes dancing powwow. Like I wasn't
You
even
were just
wearing a
having
feather.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the first time that I told being Indian was wrong.
So
And I
this
said
organization that you were a part of, it was mainly white people.
in leadership.
Okay.
And then all the
But
Indians were a part of it.
whoa.
And so that was like the
Wow.
first time I was told who I am was wrong. And how our songs were wrong. They opened the devil. And I remember telling him like, but I have cousins who dance. I said, so you're saying my cousins open up darkness? And I challenged it then,
Yeah.
and it was like, yeah. And so that was that. And so that kept me from a lot of ceremonies. It kept me from a lot of songs. It kept me from participating.
Being yourself or even figuring out who you
Who
are.
I am. Exactly. It's who I
Oh.
am. And that was a huge struggle for me. That was the hugest struggle for me in my walk. Like,
So going to Grace, you get this like chance to be like, you get to be a free ride because you're native. Go live. So I see now you're just like, I need a fucking break. Like,
right?
I get it. I get it.
Yes. And
Wow.
so I am I just within the past, I think my dad's been gone 8 years, has been when I've fully taken that grasp. And like I said, I called you on that time. So I'm like,
So
Claire, there is
yeah.
more.
I want
There's
you
more.
to I want you to like talk about that cuz this is something that is whoa, Grace University would never be cool with. So I remember when you called me just the like I want to use the word honor because of the fact that like we knew each other from Grace. You still trusted or like knew me, my heart. So you knew that I wasn't like crazy and like calling the devil, whatever. So I want you to say from like your perspective, like what happened, because I don't remember channeling, and I'm so sorry, but tell me what happened.
Yeah. Um, well, me and you, we've remained friends over social media, thankful for social media. And just as time went on, it's like, man, Claire is a psychic medium, a clairvoyant. And I had no idea what none of that is. So I'd always just kind of like, oh, cool. This is my college roommate. Look what she does. And people to ask, well, have you asked? I'm like, no, I haven't. And they're like, oh. And so my dad ended up unexpectedly passing away. And my dad was one of the tops of my struggles in my early childhood, even with you. I remember at college, it was a rough time.
Yep.
But I love my dad. My dad was my heart. And I do believe with Christianity box, it kept my love for my dad hindered. It kept my love for my dad. Oh no, he's a sinner.
Yep.
He's a sinner, and I can't save him. So I'm
Stay
wrong. Is he
away.
wrong? Who's
Yeah.
wrong? Who's wrong in this situation? And I was gone from home for years. And so me and my dad, we were able to connect. I was with him every single day of my life up till the day he passed. And it was unexpected. He didn't get to have any words with us. It was just all of a sudden he was gone. And that particular night that he passed, it was me there and every single one of my siblings. And he has like 7 of us. And so every single one of us happened to be there. I had a little sister who moved away to Canada, and she hadn't been home in 5 years. And
Oh,
here she just
wow.
happened to be there. And so she was there. My older brother, I haven't seen him in ages. He wasn't there, but his daughter was. And so my dad's oldest grandbaby was there. And, my dad passed, and it was so beautiful.
Mhm.
And it was at that moment that I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That was way bigger than any heaven, hell that I've ever preached, was just that beautiness of his passing. And
I want to pause you for 1 second, because before this, and I don't know if you're going to be able to like kind of articulate what you need to say, but like before this, what was your representation of I just want to say death.
my thing of death was heaven and hell, that you do good, that you're blessed, that you're going to heaven. You
Okay.
sin, wages of sin is eternal
Yeah.
death, that you are going to the fiery depths of hell. And sin, I was a evangelist. I understand what things that I even preached. I understand that. And so in my head it was like, you're living for yourself, you're gonna die. And
So you thought in that moment kind of like he is, but I can also say this because I can feel it. You were fully open to the experience and present. So you weren't like in your head of like what is happening, whatever. But you thought before this moment, dad's probably going to go to hell because of his
yeah,
sin. But you witnessed something so
bigger.
much more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
exactly.
just absolute love. And
Oh
my
God.
dad, my dad practiced his traditional ways. I didn't mention that. That
Mm.
was what he did. My dad followed him. That's what he lived. It was his heart. Um, I remember when I graduated college, my dad showed up because you have a bell when you conduct those ceremonies. And I remember he showed up and he wanted to sing that song. And my Christian heart at that time was
Protected.
a sin to
Mm.
sing that song.
But now you know, and now you
And
see
it's
how
not.
beautiful and how big of an honor it is, and he still did it even knowing that you've probably felt that way. How
Yeah,
fucking, like,
exactly.
what a big ass,
Yeah.
like, a badass. Your dad was a badass, let's just go there. Wow.
Yeah, and so my dad passes and he wanted to be buried and the whole service conducted in our traditional way. And I never did any of that, and when you do that, you have to dress
Yep.
in your traditional clothing. It's okay. You have to wear moccasins. It's okay. You have to wear your hair ties. It's okay. You got to cover your head. It's okay. It's not a sin to wear
And
those
you did that.
moccasins. It's not a sin. No, I didn't.
Okay. No, no,
But
no,
what
it's
had
okay.
happened during this time? Nope, I didn't. And but I called my best friend And I told her, I'm like, they're doing a traditional service. She told me, she goes, Pooey, you take every single thing in. She goes, have a notebook or something. And she goes, you take every single thing in and know that it's good. So I was like, okay.
Oh, good for that
And
person.
so those funeral services are done in 3 days.
Whoa.
You go through the funeral services. There's a lot of singing. It's 7 songs total. Well, 21 songs total during that service. And I stayed there. And right before you bury on the third morning, you bury at sunrise on the third morning, they do another 7 songs. And those are their final 7 songs. And I was able to get out there and I danced those 7 songs for my dad. And that was
Yeah.
the first time I had done that. And so my friend, she told me it's okay, Pooey, be Indian, it's okay. Go participate, go take note, be there. And so I was there for my dad at that point. And then it wasn't even probably a week later that I'm like, okay, I need to get a hold of Claire. And I think I just messaged you, like, can I talk to you? I need to get things off my chest.
Yeah.
And you did call me. And you called me and we talked and I spit everything out to you.
Yeah.
And I had so much going on. Me and my mom are estranged and we're still estranged. And but I love it because when people talk to me about it, they're like, well, you and your mom need to heal. I said, I think me and my mom are fine. We're fine. We're okay where we're at. I said, I'm not going to try to put my own expectations on what my mom needs to be for me. I said, if my mom can't do that, it's okay. And that's okay. That's fine. I'm not going to make her do anything that maybe she's
Yeah.
not capable of. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just kept working through it, and so that's been about 8 years. I will dress now for funerals, for ceremonies. I'll dress. Yeah. I sew. I wear my moccasins. When it is time to sing, Claire, I will sing the loudest from the depths of my heart and soul. I will sing my loudest because I was held from that for so long.
Yeah.
And in our traditional ways, when you sing those songs and you ring that bell, you're allowing our ancestors on the other side that we're here and we're connected.
To join in. Yeah.
And and so that veil's not huge. That veil's not huge, And I feel when I sing on this side that my dad is so proud of me on that other side.
Yeah. Oh, I love that
Standing
you just
so strong and so proud, and that's what I'm doing, to restore my soul, to restore my being. It's like I lived so complicated for almost like 30 years of my life.
Yeah.
It don't need to be that hard. It don't need to be that complicated. And yeah, so that's where me and you met back up. And like I said, every single little piece that you gave me, and it wasn't huge, it was just little pieces of tidbits you gave me. And I've just went forward. I've moved forward. And that's what I've done.
That's beautiful. And we did I connect to your dad when we did that? I don't remember.
No, you said, if you're like, if you ever want to call, we can. And I've always been like, but you told me then, because I asked, I'm like, is it like a ghost? Nay, are you like Whoopi Goldberg? And there's a whole line of people waiting. And that's what you shared. You said, no, it's signs, it's symbols. It's the more you tap in, you said you can feel it.
Yeah.
So there are so many
You're already
moments
doing
around
it.
me.
Yeah.
Yep. That I understand, and I'm like, stay connected.
Right. So we were talking about connection and how that's like the most important thing, and you like really realize that that's something that's what it's all about, basically, which is interesting because you would think like at a Grace University, we would be working on the connection and we would be trying to know that like, hey, humans, we are one, we are connected. But that was the farthest thing from what we got at Grace. We always got like I want to even say pinned against each other. Like, huh. I don't know why I want to say this, and I don't know if this is something that I am bringing up like rogue or whatever, but I do have a memory of you like sleeping in our room for a very long time. So do you have like a memory of like, was this like a little depression-ish feel? Did you not go to classes, or was this just like weed? Like what happened?
Like, are we just sleeping good? I don't remember.
Okay.
Like I said, I do remember I was very depressed back then because I
Oh,
did have a lot of
yeah.
expectations for my dad. Um, I wasn't connected, just kind of how you said, I wasn't
Yeah.
too connected with my parents. It was like
With anybody.
I
Yeah.
went through stuff. I didn't call. I didn't reach out. Even when I got kicked out, I didn't reach out to anybody. I moved to South Dakota. I didn't even go back
Yeah.
home. Um, and so, yeah, I was just maneuvering, my headspace as a young
Yeah.
adult and being alone and
Yeah.
not
Well, and if you are like being a Pisces rising, I have it in my chart too. Like we need sleep. We need to like subconsciously escape and let something else fucking take over for a little bit because oh, you know. So that I mean, it makes sense, and I guess I just have that memory and oh, I think that it's this. Okay, I'm peeling away. So the person that got like kicked out of the basketball team, whatever, was he also kicked out for drugs?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, was it
He might have
weed?
just left. Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
there
It
was
was funny
trouble.
because
Like he
I've
was in
never done
trouble.
hard drugs. I've never ever done hard drugs, but I totally remember them being like wiping my sister's car and they said, "This is going to detect cocaine" in the windows.
They
So
didn't
I
know
don't
what
know if
the
there was a
fuck they
rumor
were
going
doing.
on that there was hard drugs, but I've never done hard drugs.
Yeah. I have it like attached in my head at that time that for some reason I had thought that you guys did corticetin, whatever. And
Scissor.
yeah, was
Yeah,
that
scissor.
something that you ever did?
Yeah, I
Or
sipped on some scissor a few times.
so like it's so funny to me because me at that time, 18-year-old Claire, like I had done nothing. Like
Yeah.
and it was just hilarious how naive I was, but I wasn't naive compared to everyone else at Grace.
Yeah.
And you, Pooey, were very like I want to use the word open, but like you knew without wanting to know a lot more about life, and it sucked. And you were trying to just heal and escape and whatever at that time, and that wasn't a place to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember in hermeneutics class or something, they had us do definitions. And I always remember this. This is one of my things, but it said, yeah, we just need to work on definitions. So the word was crib. So I'm like a home or a place of dwelling. And then all the students start sharing their thing and they're all where babies sleep, a
Yeah.
baby's bed. And I remember just sitting there cracking up, like, oh my gosh, I thought a crib was a house, because I just moved from Portland. I was all into my hip hop music. I'm like, no, your crib's your home. Like,
Wow.
and I always remember that though. Like, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser.
Oh
A crib
wow.
where baby sleeps.
That's so crazy that we like shamed ourselves for being so different, but at the same time,
Yeah,
that was like the coolest part about us.
yeah.
Huh. Why did you end up getting like, do you remember the full like you getting kicked out or whatever?
I don't. It was my second into my second year. Um, and I just can't recall. I remember who was it? The dean of students. Was she a woman? Did we have our own?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was her. I remember having to go meet with her, and she was the one to send me on my way. But I don't remember that conversation.
Mm,
I don't. And so
yeah.
it's like it was not in the top of my memory bank of how I was done wrong by Christianity, I guess, or by the
What?
church,
Yeah.
by ministries. Like I said, there was so much
Other
more,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
And did your
superseded that.
sister get kicked out at the same time or what?
No, hers is a trip. And this is probably why we will hate our experience that bad. She ended up coming with me. I ended up getting kicked out. She stayed, and I still watch over her to this day. That's my baby sister. Um, She was supposed to play basketball, but there was no
Yeah.
team that year. But here she had a hole in her heart. And so she had lived this whole time with that hole in her heart, and all that it was like, oh, she just randomly passes out. And this went on her whole childhood. So it was like, oh no, she'll just faint sometimes. Get her some sugar. So that basketball coach at Grace was like, no, that don't just happen. And so here
Oh,
she made her go to the hospital there in Omaha, and here she had a hole in her heart. And so Omaha had the best surgeon in like the whole freaking,
oh,
like,
wow.
better than anywhere. He does that surgery. So she was able to get that fixed while there.
It's
And so she's
almost
fine
like,
now. That don't happen anymore.
oh my God. It's almost like, even like, yes, it's a whole string of events, but even if it was you going to Grace just to get that
Yeah.
to happen, oh, whoa.
So
Oh,
we'll
that's so
always say
cool.
that. We're like, it was worth it because your heart's fixed.
Yeah. Wow.
And it
And the
was
fact
like
that they didn't
literally
have a
the best
team
surgeon.
too. Like they didn't have a team, so she didn't
Nope.
have to worry about that. So she just
Nope.
went and got her. Wow, that was some Jesus stuff there.
Yeah. Right? For real. It was.
Wow, that's so fun. Oh, okay. Um, I know I want to be kind of like wrapping this up, and I'm trying to think like if I could think of other things that remind me of Pooie. And maybe that has been why I've been listening to a lot of R&B music this week. But
I still listen to all the same music, like
what did
so
you listen to? I
horribly.
don't remember. Tell me.
Tupac and Dr. Dre and
Yes.
Eminem.
Okay. Yep.
I
That's
remember
exactly.
we'd bump Tupac in our dorm room like it wasn't cussing.
Yep. Yep. Eminem. So Dr. Dre is something that now, like, my soul is like, like, and I didn't realize that that came from you, because I can be like, okay, Eminem is through these people, blah blah blah. So it must have been a Dr. Dre thing with you, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, the "Forgot About Dre" song lately. My dead people like send me that song so many times to be like, don't fucking forget who you are. Like, look at this shit. Like, oh, it's so funny.
Awesome.
Yeah. But no, okay, so music was a big thing. And just the laughs. Like I just remember laughing so much with you. And I just like my niece, I told you this story, but I want to say it out loud, I guess. Like my niece was living with us and she's half native and she was talking about her feet hurting or something and I was like, "Oh, put in inserts or whatever." And she like looked at me. She was like, "I'm native." And I was like, "Oh, I remember when I was living with Pooie, she told me that my foot looked like I was wearing stilettos because I had such a big arch in my foot." And that was the moment that I realized that, like, that was a white person thing.
Were her feet flat?
Yeah, very flat. Yes.
Yeah, you after you looked at them.
Yeah. Because like a couple years ago, I finally started putting inserts in my chucks because I'm like, man, I'm old as shit.
Right? My feet always hurt. I'm like, oh my gosh. End of the day, I'm like rubbing my feet. They hurt so bad.
This has been an amazing podcast. We've cried, we've laughed, we've done all of the things. And I think that that speaks volumes of just who you are. And I love you, Bowie. But I want to kind of say, like, what do you do? What do you do now? Like, what is your life now? So boast yourself, like, you know?
Well, now, um, as we say, we keep in touch. I am a member of my community. I love that I am Native. Um, Almost 2 years ago, we lost young men in our community. And one of those elders during that time, he was sharing, just a lot. And he goes, one thing you need to learn, is I had to forgive my younger self. I had to forgive my younger self, and I didn't know. And he said that 2 years ago, and that's what I worked on repairing within
Wow.
my heart. Is forgiving my younger self. Because
You
it's not
thought we were
right
doing
to.
what was right. Yeah.
Yeah, we thought we were. And as I said, I've done so much evangelism. I've preached this so sternly to so many people, and it hit heavy on my heart
Hmm.
because I never wanted other Native people to feel how I felt, because our living isn't sin. Our struggles aren't sin.
Mm.
You choose to live good, you aren't going to be blessed and be kept away from any bad coming into your life. That's not living.
Yep.
Um, And so that has been kind of my journey these past 2 years. And so, like I told you, I go to ceremonies. I'm a community cook. I make fry bread. So
I
even the
know, I
last
saw
Friday when you
that.
were wanting to
Yeah.
talk, I was gonna take a picture and say like, I fried up 100 bread this morning,
Oh,
but I fry bread. I take care of my 3 babies. I have a 10, a 5, and a 3-year-old. My oldest is a basketball player, so we're constantly traveling. Um, I was a stay-at-home mom, which I absolutely loved, but my kids grew up on me. Otherwise, I would never want to work. Because
yeah,
like I
yeah.
said, I struggle bad with rules. I struggle bad with
Same.
this is what you need to do now. Like I'm very extremely bad with that.
Yeah.
And but I work at housing. It's under HUD housing for our
Oh, yeah.
Nez Perce Tribal Housing Authority. Um, it's okay work, but I try not to define myself from my work is what I've learned.
Yeah.
Um, I worked at a domestic violence, sexual assault, elder abuse shelter for years, and I
Wow.
really allowed that to define me rather than allowing my work to be my work and me to be me and just me to be me, just let
Hmm.
all of it just be me. So yeah, I'm always busy. And you
I'm
were
gonna,
so right though when you said like when you sleep, I sleep. And
yeah.
so I ended up sick the beginning of this month. I probably slept for like 3, 4 days and I was like, that was so beautiful because I love my sleep. I love it.
Maybe that's why I slept so good last night. I had to get in here this morning and like do the back rollers and stretch because I woke up and I was like, oh, I didn't move. Like, my husband was like, Claire, you were mumbling in your sleep. You were like, he was like, you slept so hard. And I'm like, it was awesome.
I always say that. I'm like, and I feel bad for people who suffer with insomnia
I
or
do.
sleeping
Yeah.
through the night because I
Mhm.
sleep. Like I'm out.
Weird that you say that because I think that now, because we were in such tight quarters and because you slept so hard, you were the first person that I learned to kind of like maneuver around that was sleeping when I was like wide awake at night. Because I remember fully never sleeping when I was at Grace. Wow. The other thing that I want to say, and this is like we maybe can leave this on like our parting note, but it is a big thing, and I am feeling this and I need to say it. And I don't know if you felt the pull or whatever, but I think in some way you are being called and led to be helping, teaching, coaching natives, probably just women mainly, um, to just that just natives, but mainly, like, I definitely feel to be more native or to, get back in touch with their roots or whatever, but if you were to be, like, a life coach, it would be Native American women life coach. Like, there is a
Agreed.
fucking do it, man. There is
Girl,
a
I learned everything. Like I learned how to sew, so I can make the traditional dresses. Like I said, I learned the fry bread. Even when you serve at these funerals, dinners, or ceremonies, like all of that needs to be placed in a certain way. The root digging, I've learned that. So I keep just learning. Like there's so much to learn.
yeah. So
It's
so
not a
that's
sin, it's like
yeah.
not a sin.
Oh.
So I've just
You're
so
soaking it
much.
in. Yeah, it's you're
Yep.
soaking it in for a reason. And I think the fact of you just being a Pisces rising, like Saturn, the planet that is the teacher, is in Pisces right now. So you are being called to like, okay, let's teach this in some way right now.
Yeah.
I really think like I was just thinking right now, like, oh my God, my niece would love to work with you because she wants to get in touch with her native roots because her dad is dead. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so many people that would love to do that.
I know. How we were talking about science. One of the coolest. The teacher I learned from is my dad's first wife from my older siblings. Um, and she was the one I questioned, like, because he passed away. I was estranged from my mom, and so she knew
Oh,
everything. So I just sit there and pick her brain. I'd ask her everything, and during COVID in 2020, she ended up getting it, so she was in the hospital towards the end of the year and in December, like through October, November, December. And so December 1st, a hummingbird starts coming to my window and sitting on this block of ice. I'm like, that is so crazy. Huh. Next
ice.
morning, only in the mornings. Next morning, a hummingbird by our window. I'm like, oh my gosh, in December, like, wow.
Yeah.
So every single morning, this sucker showed up at our window. And here, the morning she had passed away was the only morning that that bird didn't show up. And
Whoa.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
my
Your
gosh.
Pisces is like, you can't like ignore this anymore. This
Yeah.
is some weird shit. It's
Yeah.
real and I gotta figure it out.
It was. And I was like, man, it's okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And
You're
because she
fully
was
being
out,
watched
from the
over and
COVID. Yep.
yeah.
She had the stuff over her face. And so I wasn't able to say goodbye. I wasn't able to be with her. And that hummingbird gave me so much strength as we were losing her.
Mm-hmm.
And since she passed from COVID, we ended up cremating her. And so then we took her up to where she takes us to dig at some of our roots. And that was where we spread her ashes at. And so the young women went up there, but I stayed down below where we were going to bury her thing that her ashes was in. And so they went up there, and us older ones stayed down below. And here, when they release those ashes, this big old bald eagle goes flying by. Like, it's just the most amazing things, And I'm like, those are the signs that she's
Yes.
told me, to keep
Yep.
aware of that peace, and that everything that I'm
He's
doing is
free.
correct. Yep.
Oh,
That
God.
you're living in your way.
Your
You're
truth.
doing right. And so it's amazing. Just how you said you'll see it. You'll know in your heart that you'll know.
Oh, Pooie, I love you so fucking much.
I love you so fucking much. You're amazing.
But yeah, this has been, sorry everybody else, my favorite podcast so far.
You're like, we really do love each other. I love those notes you kept. I loved them. Because even just to read how I valued you at that age, in this age, is amazing. And that's just because you're true to you, and you're you, and I'm me. And that's that. And we never had to change for anybody.
No.
And
I appreciate that so much in you, because that was, and it still is, such a rare thing to have a real fucking human in front of you to just be real. So keep on keeping on, Pooie.
Hey, I love you so much. And thank you. Thank you so much. And I kept telling everybody that. I'm like, I know I'm going to feel a little bit lighter after talking to Claire. Wherever this goes, I know I'll feel better, a little bit better. So I appreciate you so much. And I love you.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
You too.